What's up, everybody? Thanks for tapping into this episode of Do Your Homework. We got a lot to get into today. I'm going to try to run through it quick. I know it's Friday. I know people got other things they like to do. So I'm going to try to run it down as quickly as I can. We're going to start with the New Hampshire primary. Donald Trump runs away with it, as we all knew would happen. Nikki Haley remains committed to staying in the race, further proving that she is actually, despite notions to the contrary coming from her camp, she is a part of the political establishment. There's absolutely no reason for her to remain in this race whatsoever. She has no chance to win. Everybody knows that she has no chance to win. She's actively misleading or lying to the public about how the race and the polling has gone. Namely, that I started at 2% and I ended at 45%. It's like, okay, but how are you doing that's New Hampshire, which has 4 electoral votes. You're not going to win the presidency with New Hampshire. So how are you doing in Nevada? Oh, you're getting 0 points in Nevada. Okay. How about South Carolina? Oh, you have less support in your home state of South Carolina than you do in New Hampshire. That's crazy. She's going to get less than 30% in South Carolina. The race is pretty much over. The party needs to begin consolidating around Trump, getting through the reconciliation progress with the MAGA asshats. And trust me, I don't like many of them either. I think many of them are just as misguided as people on the left. But we need to start that reconciliation project so we can put the right people in the cabinet positions, get the right person elected as VP. I honestly think Vivek is the only right answer. I think he's the only person on that side who has the youth, energy, articulation, and vision to properly convey the not just what the policy and the how of the policy, but why the policy to an increasingly educated voter base that tends to lean Democrat. And I say educated because they're mostly indoctrinated with this glorified and, quite honestly, not imaginary vision of what the Democrat Party is. Okay, the Democrat Party, let's just go in time order. The Democrat Party is the one that promoted slavery. The Democrat Party is the one that promoted Jim Crow. The Democrat Party is the one that promoted the 16th Amendment, which gives the federal government the right to tax your income in perpetuity, and the 17th Amendment, which took away the state's right to representation in the Congress. They also put up the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. The Democrats got us involved in both world wars. Do I need to keep going? Because I can keep going. National Security Act, which is made to avoid war, has only led us to more wars. We've been in active wars longer since the National Security Act than we ever were before. So this idea that the Democrats are for the people and they care about people, they're not. It's bullshit. Okay? But they're indoctrinated, educated people who will believe that. Vivek is the only one whose education and articulation and vision is enough to overcome that. And his patience. Right? I don't have the patience for many of these people. I'm like, that's just not, I just say that's not true, and that's stupid that you believe that. That's the best I can give you, because it's just factually untrue. It was the Democrats who pushed the Great Society and welfare and housing projects onto black communities. Okay, and it's these housing projects and welfare bills that have kept black people beholden to the federal government for sustenance. I don't know what you call it when you rely on somebody for food, water, clothes, and housing. It tends to mimic a form of slavery. So I don't really quite see how you can say the Republicans aren't on your side when they're the ones that are trying to provide you with jobs and money so that you can build your own homes, who are trying to provide you with job, money, and opportunities so that you can, like I said, buy your own homes, buy your own clothes, grow your own food. That's neither here nor there. But we have to get over that. And I think we have to be able to pull in a mass amount of those voters to get the kind of landslide moral mandate that it's going to take to actually bridge the divide in this country. And you can really see where that divide is when you look at the border issue. Okay, and this is what Vivek's been talking about for a long time. There are people who love America. People standing with Texas saying, we need to secure the border. We cannot just allow people to walk in here willy-nilly and take up our resources, that take up taxpayer dollars, that are shutting down schools in black communities. Again, black people, listen to me. Democrats are shutting down our kids' schools so that they can house migrants. people who ain't even from here. They shouldn't even fucking be here. They're taking your kid out of class, saying, I don't care if this little nigga's stupid. I don't care if he's stupid. He's going to stay stupid so that he votes for me. I want all these people to vote for me because I give them the food on their plates and the houses over their heads and the clothes on their back. It's about power. They don't give a fuck about you at all. There's a fringe minority of people who hate our country, who hate the fact that we are a sovereign nation, built on the rule of law, built on the ideals that all men are created equal and free to speak their mind and free to defend themselves with whatever weapons are necessary at the time, and free to have troops not quarter in their homes, who are free not to incriminate themselves, who are free to govern themselves. They hate that. They fundamentally are hostile to our sovereignty. So what do? They flood us with people. Flood it, open the floodgates, let anyone and everyone come in. They don't care about our sovereignty. They don't care about American citizens or American citizenship at all. You have that group of people against people who love America, who love our country, who love our founding ideals, who don't have an issue with immigrants at all. Just sensible immigration policy, that's all we're asking for. The system, here's the thing about the American system. It's always going to be overflown because everybody wants to live here. I guarantee, if you live in Zimbabwe, you don't have an immigration problem. If you live in Venezuela, you don't have an immigration problem. Immigration policy is not a thing because nobody wants to fucking immigrate there. Immigration problem only becomes a thing when the entire world wants to live here. Why does the entire world want to live here? Because it means something to be an American. It means something to live in this country. It means something to adopt the ideals and the principles that made this country great and to have the opportunities that Americans are offered. Okay? It is not my fault. I am not apologizing for being born in Kansas. I'm not. I should not have to subsidize somebody else's existence for the sole reason that they were born in Guatemala. That's not my problem. It's not my daughter's problem. It's not my son's problem. It's not your problem. At a certain point, we got to grow a set of balls and say, that's not my problem. I'm handling my problems. I have $34 trillion worth of debt that I don't want my kids to inherit. I have a housing issue. This is the fucked up part. They actively talk about having a housing issue and then say we need more people. Where the fuck are they going to live? Oh, we'll just close down the schools. Where are our kids going to be educated? They don't. The truth is, they don't care. They want you stupid. The stupider you are, the easier you are to manipulate. So they don't care if you go to school or not. That's the plot that people are missing. And so, yes, when you look at what's going on at the border right now, obviously I 1,000% side with Texas. 1,000,000% side with Texas. They're 100% in the right. The federal government is literally derelict in its duty right now. The federal government does not get to pick and choose when it secures the border. It just doesn't. The federal government has a duty to protect the sovereignty of the state. It's not fulfilling its duty. So to everybody you see out there saying, Texas is violating the Supreme Court. First of all, no, they're not. The Supreme Court never said that they can't put up razor wire. It only said that the federal government can cut the razor wire. Okay, it's technical. And if you don't understand the technicalities, then stay the fuck out. Or just come and listen to my podcast. I'll explain it to you. But don't go out there and just make shit up. Okay, that's a problem. The second thing you'll hear from, again, these are people that literally are just fundamentally hostile to American sovereignty. Ask anybody saying this stuff what it means to be an American citizen, and if they say cohabitate space, you know that they're bullshitting. They don't understand the culture, the fundamental cultural and idealistic differences between us and the rest of the world. They don't understand that being an American is about subscribing to a particular ideology on how we govern and operate and conduct ourselves within a free market. They don't understand it. They really think that being American just means you happen to rest your head here at night, which means absolutely nothing, which why to them it doesn't mean anything to bring other people in here. And if that's how you feel that way about your country, that's cool. Just do it somewhere else. Because my children don't deserve to have to deal with that. Not even a little bit. They did nothing to deserve to have to deal with that. Okay? But when these people tell you things like, Republicans are the ones that that are shooting down the border package. No, they're not. I'll put a link in the comments. HR 2 was passed in May of 2023. Yeah, that was 8 months ago. more than that, almost 8.5 months ago, almost 9 months ago now. They passed H.R. 2. It's literally called the Secure the Border Act. And it's been in the Senate for 9 months, and the Senate refuses to pick it up. Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats refuse to pick up the bill because they want to try to lump in the border money with aid to Ukraine and bullshit immigration policies. And that's why Josh Hawley went on, I think it was Fox the other day, and said, we're not going to, quote, enable Joe Biden. They're like, oh, you don't want to give him a win? No, that's not what I said. I don't want to enable him to have an open border. Part of the, here's the bullshit part of it. This is how you know the spending package is stupid. They say, oh, we're going to give you money to hire 300 more border agents. But in return, we want you to allow 5,000 migrants in a day and speed up the process for them to get in here, which is basically don't vet them at all and give them immediate work passes, work permits. And in return, we'll allow you to put more agents down there. What the fuck is the point of putting more agents down there who aren't securing the border? You want to put the agents down there, and then you want to tell them to, you're going to put more agents down there and then tell them to let more people in. That completely defeats the purpose of putting more agents down there. But that's the part that Democrats won't tell you. They'll simply say, oh, we have a package for that, and the Republicans won't vote for it. No, that's not what's going on. H.R. 2 has been in the Senate for 9 months, and they have neglected this, and it's purposeful. It's purposeful. Like I said, Democrats have been doing this. The test run was the Great Society. This was the test run of it. The Great Society said, basically, we're going to give out all these welfare benefits to underprivileged people. Okay? And to be fair, in the 1960s, they actually were underprivileged. Okay, but that didn't mean they needed handouts. They needed the government to get the fuck out of the way. That's what they needed. They needed government out. They needed police to get out of their way. They needed white people to stop burning their businesses down. That's what they needed. And once they had that, once they were able to go to banks and get loans, once they were able to go to insurance companies and get insurance claims, once they were able to own businesses, everything was fine. They didn't need the government to just hand them stuff. But this is what they said. Under the guise of benevolence, we will just give them shit. We'll give them housing projects. We'll give them food stamps. We'll give them welfare checks. And in return, their existence will be wholly subsidized and sponsored by us, which will make them completely beholden to us. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you rely on one person or entity for your food, water, electricity, housing, transportation, you're a slave to those people. I don't give a fuck if it's 1978 or 1848. You're a slave. Period. Okay? You do not move out of slavery by being beholden to that person to now being beholden to this person. That's not how that works. But black people bought it hook, line, and sinker. And so 60 years later, what do we have? Look at Chicago. Look at my hometown of Topeka. Look at the east side of Kansas City. Go to New York. Go to Oakland. Go to any hood in Miami. What do these places look like? They're complete and total wastelands. Pieces of shit. Places black people don't even like being. Why? Because we fell for the Democrat bullshit. But now here's what they know. They know that if they give people who have nothing just a little bit, they will vote for them for generations. And so they're importing voters. Not only are they importing voters, they are purposefully creating a problem with which they can activate. Very nice, baby girl. They're purposely creating the conditions under which an emergency will transpire, and then they can enact emergency powers. That's how they got the Patriot Act after 9/11. All right, guys, this is what they do. This is their bread and butter. Okay, this is how they put all the Japanese in concentration camps after Pearl Harbor, even though they knew damn good and well the Japanese were going to attack them. Okay, and for those of you who are saying, how do you know that? Common sense. I'm a naval officer. I would never put my most valuable ships at sea without an escort unless I know where the enemy's at. How do I know where the enemy's at? Because I know what the fuck they're doing. How else would they know where they were going to be unless they knew they were going to be at Pearl Harbor? The only way you could know that is if you had already hacked their codes, which they did. And they don't even lie about that part. This is the funny part. They don't even try to hide the fact that they had Japanese codes cracked way before Pearl Harbor. Way, like months before Pearl Harbor. We had cracked Japanese military codes. They'll admit that and then say at the same time, we didn't know anything about Pearl Harbor. We didn't know. This is their bread and butter. This is what they do. Okay, guys? This is what the government does. Create a problem and then provide the solution. Get it passed through legislature while everybody's all hot and bothered. And then eventually it just, over the passage of time, it just bakes into the law and nobody thinks about it. But it's still there. Just like the Patriot Act. Nobody thinks about the Patriot Act anymore. But trust me, it's there. And if they ever need it, they're going to grab your ass up and use it. So don't fall for all the bullshit. Don't fall for all the bullshit. Especially when it comes to the economy and all this other stuff, which we'll get into later. But when it comes to this border, understand this is a microcosm of two fundamentally different ideologies. Love America. Don't apologize for it. We are who we are. We have issues of our own. We need to prioritize Americans first. And I don't give a fuck about America. I don't care about American citizens. I have a globalist, socialist agenda that is going to grant me more money and power, and I am going to focus on that. That's it. And then they're useful idiots. And trust me, that's literally what they are. Anybody who's on this side is a useful idiot. Period. Whether they know it or not. Because they just don't understand the consequences of what they are pushing. Now, some of you may be asking, Christian, where do you see this going? Where do you see this going? I honestly don't know. Right now they're in a bit of a standoff. And I think Texas is testing their resolve. They're testing the resolve of the federal government. They're testing their support amongst the several states. Right? How many states are actually with us? Are we by ourselves? Are we kind of on a limb here? Or do we have strong support? And they're testing the resolve, like I said, testing the resolve of the federal government and the several states. Joe Biden's spineless, but I don't think he's actually in charge of the country. I do not think the managerial class will just concede, and here's why. If Biden concedes, or through his underlings, because again, he's not making any real decisions. But if the administration concedes, then they basically admit that Texas is right. They admit that they do not have the force necessary to actually enforce the law, and they basically run out of credibility, and it becomes a lame duck presidency. However, and that's a win for that's a win for Texas. That's a win for all states, because the next thing you know, every state's going to actually realize its power, and that's when I think the Convention of States is really going to gain ground, because a lot of this has to do with federal overreach. We need to allow the states more sovereignty. I think more people need to pay attention to their state legislatures. I think more people need to be involved in self-governance, and I think that starts at the local level. I think the states regaining their sovereignty and realizing that sovereignty once again will be a powerful thing, and I hope this entire conflict, if you can call it that, if nothing else, leads people to that understanding and gets people more involved and more aware of what's going on. The second thing is that they actually attempt to use force against the state of Texas. If they do that, they prove that all this, you're a fascist, you're a dictator, talking to Donald Trump, they prove that that's all projection. They lose any leg they have to stand on to say that they value the opinion of their constituents. They lose all credibility they have in saying that they stand for democracy. Because again, 26 out of 24 states are with Texas. I don't know about you, but it's pretty democratic. 26 to 24, looks like we win. And that's not including Kansas. And I think Kansas should come out and make a statement sooner than later. Because standing on the sidelines, that looks like some wishy-washy shit. I don't like that. Especially when you consider that we have a supermajority in both houses of the legislature with Republicans. I think the Republicans need to come out and put that to a vote. But we'll see. I don't know if they will or not. I doubt it. But I think if things were to really hit the fan, we would take Texas aside, because I just don't see enough Democratic support in the state. However, if they decide to try to use force, again, they lose all credibility. The moment that they start shooting at Americans, they lose all credibility. That just flies out the window. and you're going to get a bunch of people who are maybe on the fence, a lot of them are going to side with Texas. And I think this is, again, like I think I said this in an earlier recording. I don't know if I said it in this one. This has Fort Sumter written all over it. It looks like he's purposefully crafting a situation to where either the federal government backs down and admits there's a problem, or uses force. And this is where they lose credibility. You're willing to use force against people who are securing the border, but you're not willing to use force against the caravans of people who are overrunning the country that even Democrat mayors have complained about. Democrat mayors, you can look it up. Denver, Chicago, New York, all of them have said this migration problem, it's destroying our cities. It's putting so much strain on our resources. New York has by far the most. They have 110,000 people. They have by far the most migrants of the cities that Governor Abbott, the governor of Texas, has deported people to. New York's number one. They have 110,000 people of the at least 9 million who have come here. Somewhere between 9 and 12 million have come here. 8 million, sorry. Of the at least 8 million, somewhere between 8 and 12 million people that are here, only 110,000 of them got sent to New York City, and they're complaining about that. Imagine how Texas feels. Okay? So this is why I say there are people who are fundamentally hostile to the United States sovereignty, and then they're useful idiots. And then you have people who genuinely love the country. And I think the side of the people who genuinely love the country is the side that will ultimately win out. I think we're on the right side of history. I really do believe that. And my support for Texas is unwavering. I do believe we're on the right side of history. We need to stick with the course. We need to hold the line. We cannot let these people overrun our sovereignty and just give away the butt cheeks. I saying that ain't what we about on this side of the pond. We don't play that game. Not going down without a fight. And that's the thing. I don't see Texas going down without a fight. I don't see the managerial class going down without a fight. So I don't know how else this ends. I just don't. You have two irreconcilable viewpoints. Love this country, love its ideals, hate this country, hate its sovereignty, hate its ideals, want to replace it with bullshit Marxism. That's it. That's it. And then again, at the base of all this, where we've really lost our way, is what does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to have American citizenship? What does citizenship do for a state and its population? That we'll get into on Monday. Obviously, assuming a civil war doesn't break out this weekend. I hope it doesn't, guys. I really am praying for the best. But again, I just look into the history of Fort Sumter. You'll understand what I'm talking about. I'll see you guys next week. We're going to talk about citizenship. Thanks.